coming up.
Well, with the Gelbvieh cross hybrid vigor that brings on, we're feeding the cattle the same way we were before, but with the genetics that we're putting into these cattle, the inputs have stayed the same. We haven't done anything different. These cattle are just working more for us now.
See why Gelbvieh-influenced cattle are the smart, reliable, and profitable choice. Next on The American Rancher. And welcome to The American Rancher. I'm Pam Minnick. Commercial cattle producers and cattle feeders value cattle that are maternally superior and will raise a high-performing calf year after year. Gelbvieh cattle are highly fertile, moderately framed cows that raise feed-efficient, high-performing calves with superior carcass merit. Gelbvieh and Balancer cattle make the grade by ranking #1 for percent of retail product, resulting in more carcasses with yield grades of 1, 2, or 3, all while grading USDA Prime and Choice. Gelbvieh and Balancer cattle meet modern industry demands by adding the pounds, making the grade, and delivering the value. Today, we'll hear from producers who choose Gelbvieh and Balancer genetics to achieve efficiency in their commercial cow herds and in the feedlot.
So Hamilton Farms is my brother and myself operate as two single individuals in a loose partnership. We're mixed cropping and mixed livestock. So our mixed livestock is, on my side is beef cows, beef feedlot. We do have some sheep, we do have some goats, and we do have some outdoor raised pigs and poultry and equine, so a lot of things. So our cattle operation, we're cow-calf to beef feedlot. So we're running roughly over 1,000 head of mother cows. We retain all our calves and go to the feedlot. We sell them on a carcass merit quality grid program. We've been doing that since 2008. The majority of my cows right now are Balancer genetics. On our bulls, we have some Balancers and some Angus. I concentrate a lot on marbling because that's where our eating quality comes from. That's where you hit your juiciness, your more flavor, just a better eating experience. So I like to eat my own beef, and I want the best. So, but I also have to concentrate on, I need to get the cow head bred. They got to survive in my environment. They got to do all the things I want them to do, because I use cattle as a tool to manage my grasses, manage my forage, manage my farm ground, so forth. We also compost all our cattle manure, and we're putting that back out in the land. So we sort of have this life cycle of everything, and it's pretty cool how that's all coming together.
We are a grain and cattle operation. We raise our own replacement heifers, and we have started finishing out our own fat cattle, run a cow-calf operation. We got about 450 head of cow-calf pairs that we do, and we have started selling ours fat cattle on the grid, premiums and discounts, and with the Gelbvieh cattle, we've been picking up some nice premiums with the carcass that we've been getting back. We always figured that we had the ability to feed cattle. We used to finish out Holsteins when we were back in the dairy day, so it was kind of a shoe that fit for us to start finishing out cattle. Usually we would background the cattle till about March, April, and here back in 2013 we poured our first bunk line and noticed that the cattle were doing really well on that bunk line. We continued to pour bunk lines. We thought to ourselves, you know, we've got the facilities now, let's try pushing this a little bit further and see what happens. At the beginning, we were selling directly just to a sale barn, and I was actually, our packer buyers actually said, you know, why don't you guys try putting these cattle on the grid? They're really nice looking cattle. See what happens. He said, if it doesn't work for you, that's fine. We can sell them live however you want to. It was the first year we did it, and we've never went back the other way. We've stuck with that. Makes it a lot easier on bull selection. I mean, when we're looking at those bulls and they've got, you know, great fat, intermuscular fat, it really pays for them in a hurry. You know, you're able to utilize that right away, you know, especially with a cow-calf operation. I mean, we know right what we're fattening out and how we can fatten. We know what those cattle are going to do. With the Gelbvieh cross, you talk about the hybrid vigor that brings on. I mean, we're feeding the cattle the same way we were before, but with the genetics that we're putting into these cattle, the inputs have stayed the same. We haven't done anything different. These cattle are just working more for us now as opposed to before. It makes it a no-brainer why we put more Gelbvieh into our herd. Is simply with that. If any time that you can cut your inputs or keep your inputs the same with putting more money in, you know, in your profit margin, it just makes sense.
My farm is J. Anderson Farm, and I'm in Bryant, South Dakota. Roughly, you know, 250, 300 head of cows. We run the calves. We sell the heifer calves to a operation that sells bred females, and we finish out our own steer calves and the tail end calves. Cows are wintered here in South Dakota, and hopefully we get some corn stalks to winter them on and try to put up enough feed to get them through. We've been fortunate to live in an area that have had abundance of feed. My father raised all his cattle and finished them, and he spread the marketing out over a period of a couple months, and then we kind of went to backgrounding them and just sold them as a one-shot deal. They'd all go to town, and at one point, probably 20 years ago, I said this isn't the way to market cattle, so we started finishing again and spread the marketing out over a period of about 2 months to kind of gain some better marketing opportunities, and that's worked well.
After the break,
The yearling weights are key to that finishing animal, and then temperament on top of it too.
learn how producers use data to purchase bulls and market their feeder cattle when The American Rancher continues. Stay with us. Welcome back to The American Rancher. When it comes to marketing beef, producers approach their decisions based on what works well for their individual operations. These producers share their marketing strategies as well as the role carcass data makes in their bull buying decisions.
When we're grid marketing our fed cattle, we collect the individual weights, then we actually track the carcass data on them, and we do pull some DNA samples. And we use all that data, so we database it, then we'll benchmark it against ourselves and sort of see where we're at, and then I'll buy my bulls accordingly. So our average ribeye for 2022 is 14.8 inches. And so when I'm selecting bulls, I don't go out and chase 18-inch ribeyes. I try and advance it to maybe a 16-inch ribeye. I'm looking at the ribeye to live weight ratio. That's what I look at more than anything else. By selling on the grid when individually weighing, it's like precision farming, but it's precision cattle farming. We want this animal at this carcass weight, at this quality, and they're a growing animal, so they have different growth levels. We need to sort of select the bulls that we want that's going to do what we want to do, and then we need to manage the cattle on how we feed them, how we maybe implant them, their health, and then when we go to sell them, we need to manage, well, does this animal look like it needs more time? Is this animal too big? And then we place it in the right category. So a lot of people think it takes too much time. That's the $10,000 an hour job. That's the one I want. My carcass results for 2022, steers and heifers. We marketed a little over 1,200 head of animals. We had a 930-pound carcass weight. We had 28% prime, with 97% being choice and prime. We were 33% CAB. We had 22% fours and 3% fives. I had a 14.5-inch ribeye with a 0.77 back fat. I ran about 3.9% heavies for the year, and then my marbling score was 637.
We'll be weaning calves in the first 2 to 3 weeks of September. They'll weigh 400 to 500 pounds, 550 pounds. We'll put them on a backgrounding ration, and then the heifers will go to our people that buy the heifers for a heifer retention program, and then our fat cattle usually start getting heavy enough to go to market in June, July, August. Tail enders will kind of go in September. Been good. The fat cattle we've sold in July weighed just over 1,500, and most recently a couple loads went out at high 1,400. So yeah, we've been going to a sale barn with them, and which has 4 or 5 fat cattle buyers sitting on the seats, and done well with that. Balancer feeder calves for us, they just do well. I have a hired man that kind of runs the cattle. Temperament has been real good. They're real easy to handle. They wean easy, good gainers, good feed efficiency. They finish well. Upper 1,400 to 1,500 head animal brings good price at the sale barn and for the packer, and I just think they're a tremendous animal. You know, deep-sided, they put all the weight on when they're good and deep-sided versus being long and lean. These are a good animal.
So yeah, some of our carcass data that we've gotten back last year was phenomenal. We hauled out 4 loads of fat cattle, and on those 4 loads of fat cattle, they went 97% choice or better. We had barely any selects, we had no grade 5s, very few grade 4s, mostly grade 2s and 3s. And I was astonished with, that amount of cattle with that high of choice or prime. I mean, we picked up a really good premium on that, really excited about what it did, and we know for sure that was due to the Gelbvieh cross. When we pick out our bulls there with the Gelbvieh, we can actually utilize both ways. I mean, we can see the Gelbvieh with its maternal side for replacement heifers, but we also capitalize on that carcass that Gelbvieh brings. So I mean, if we find a bull that it's maternally sound with carcass data, I mean, it's a no-brainer. You've capitalized on both for what we do. So that's why Gelbvieh is a very good fit for us. We need both of those, and that's what Gelbvieh gives us.
When you're marketing cattle on a grid, it's really important for the cattle to grade in the upper 2/3 of choice or grade into prime, especially where we've seen significant premiums for high choice and prime cattle. So that's a great opportunity for them to capture more money. Production costs are still the same, and then high average daily gain contributes to lower overall cost, and it also provides heavy carcass weights and feed efficiency's great.
Up next,
I don't think there is an animal that's more sustainable than that mama cow.
learn why ranchers and cattle feeders choose Gelbvieh's maternal traits, which carry through to the end beef product. You're watching The American Rancher. Stay with us.
You're marketing feeder calves sired by Gelbvieh and Balancer bulls. Give your cattle the Balancer Edge. Balancer Edge is the new source and age verification program from the American Gelbvieh Association for calves sired by registered Gelbvieh and Balancer bulls, and is backed by the industry's leading verification company, IMI Global. If you market feeder cattle, then you know that value-added programs can put more money in your pocket. Give your calves the Balancer Edge. For more information, visit gelbvieh.org.
Balancer-influenced feeder calves add the pounds, make the grade, and deliver the value. Feeder Finder is a free email listing to source Balancer-influenced feeder calves. If you are looking to buy or sell truckloads of Balancer-influenced feeder calves, subscribe to the free email listing or fill out the form with the cattle's information at gelbvieh.org. Feeder Finder, your source for Balancer-influenced feeder calves that add the pounds, make the grade, and deliver the value.
Welcome back to the American Rancher. High-performing feeder calves start with not only informed bull selection, but with high-performing mama cows. Gelbvieh and Balancer females offer improved longevity, docility, moderate mature cow size, and more pounds of calf weaned per cow exposed. The Gelbvieh female truly does more with less and is the picture of sustainability in the modern beef industry.
The Gelbvieh and Balancer cattle, what they've done for our operation is, the first thing they did is we moderated our cow herd, size-wise, frame score-wise. Second thing, they brought back reproductive efficiency to us. When we started bringing the Gelbvieh in, we started having more twins, which some people like twins don't, and some people don't. But I like the twins because if I lose a calf, I can graft them and so forth, but that tells me the productivity is there. And then by selecting the right bulls, we've been able to go all the way through the end product and really produce a product that brings the premium dollars.
We got to have something that will then stay in that pen and be calm. That's where the Gelbvieh came in. I mean, you know, and like I said, the disposition is a must. I mean, when we're looking for replacements, we've got two things right at the beginning that we look for. Number one is age. When they're going to cycle, we want something that is an older, and the next is disposition. We've got to have something. It only takes one wild heifer that turns the whole pen of cattle upside down. And that's what we've noticed with the Gelbvieh. As we've started injecting that into that herd, we're able to find plenty of replacements with good disposition. I can handle them. They don't bounce off the walls. I can put them in that pen. I can warm that calf up with its mother right there. I'm sitting on a couch 10 feet away looking at her. Sustainability is now kind of the word that everybody is using, and in my way of thinking, I don't think there is an animal that's more sustainable than that mama cow. I mean, she can take that, produce a calf, she can graze grass on ground that isn't fit for crop production, convert that into a meat, then that cow can take crop residue after we take the grain off for finishing out our fat cattle and utilize that into something that she can use as energy to bring on to the next year. I mean, I don't know how much more sustainable you can get than that, because you're taking that cow that that cow is grazing that residue that you literally have to do nothing with. And while she's doing that, she's converting that residue into a readily available fertilizer coming up next year. You know, it's not fertilizer that we have to import. It's not fertilizer that we have to produce. It's not fertilizer that we have to spread on to break down the crop residue. She's doing it for us. And then with her calf, I mean, you take that manure from that calf and we'll raise some of our best crops that we have from the manure that those cattle produce.
The Gelbvieh and Balancer give us a big advantage as, just a good mothering cow. Bulls do well. The black cows are deep-sided. They give us good calves. They're heavy calves coming off of grass early. They go to feed well, and they winter well. They're good long-haired. South Dakota winters can be brutal and cold, and they can be mild and wet. So the cattle done well in the wintertime in the feedlot, open feedlot, and then you put them on feed and just ramp them up on a finishing ration. They really do well and gain well, feed efficiency, and then finish well. Disposition is just tremendous in them Gelbvieh Balancer heifers, and a little bit of Angus in them. You got the good mothering of both the Gelbvieh and the Angus to go back on. And then the disposition, I just can't highlight that enough.
I think Gelbvieh and Balancer genetics provide a great combination of many desirable traits for beef cattle producers, and we've seen that over the last couple days as we visit with a couple of these different producers, have been on their farms, their ranches, operations, and they have the opportunity to select Gelbvieh and Balancer bulls that are well balanced, strong in a number of traits that fit their operations. One of the reasons that these guys use Gelbvieh and Balancer genetics is for the maternal strength of the breed. The females make tremendous cows, and they have excellent fertility. They reach puberty early. The breed up and then the breed back is exceptional, and that's really important for cow-calf producers. And then you think about longevity and these cows lasting 6 years and more in a herd. They really pay for themselves. The longer they last, the more money that is in a rancher's pocket. Several of these guys also market their cattle on grids or value-based marketing programs. They retain ownership of their feedlot cattle all the way to the end. And so when they go to market these cattle to a packer, it's really important that they can sell weight. Hot carcass weight pays, pounds pay everybody. And then it's important for the cattle to reach a high quality grade with a high percent grading choice and prime. A couple of these different producers, you know, their cattle grade in the upper 90s to 100% choice and prime, with 10 to 15% primes, even reaching as high as 50% primes a certain time of the year at the end of the feeding period. Gelbvieh and Balancer genetics add a lot of retail value as far as heavy carcass weights, excellent growth, improved feed efficiency, which is important for these cattle feeders, lowering their overall cost of production. And then the cattle can grade, but you also reduce the number of yield grade 4s and 5s in the mix, which is also important to keep you out of the discount. So I think these producers, through genetic selection for the traits that are important to them, have been able to capitalize on profit opportunities as they market their cattle in various avenues. The American Gelbvieh Association provides services for its members and for our commercial customers. Many of our members are using DNA testing and genomically enhanced EPDs, which are of a tremendous value for commercial cow-calf producers when they're trying to select genetics with improved accuracies of the EPDs. We also offer a couple of different marketing programs to help advertise and promote feeder cattle when cow-calf producers are selling their steer and heifer calves.
For more information about Gelbvieh and Balancer cattle and the commercial programs offered by the American Gelbvieh Association, visit gelbvieh.org. That's all the time we have today. To find out more about us, visit our website, theamericanrancher.com, or connect with us on Facebook or YouTube. I'm Pam Minnick. For our entire American Rancher team, thanks for joining us. We'll see you next time.